The XB-70 North American Aviation Valkyrie, the plane that you build when you've been smoking the strategic nuclear deterrent crackpipe for so damn long, you measure the potential damage your weapons can do in units of megadeath, i.e. how many millions of people, mostly minding their own business, that you can destroy. Designed in the late 1950s by North American Aviation for the United States Air Force Strategic Air Command, the 6-engine XB-70 Valkyrie was designed to cruise for thousands of miles at Mach 3 while flying at 70,000 feet. The Air Force loved or was immediately taken by the idea of a large wedge or delta-shaped aircraft, as they saw it as one of the crucial, necessary or preliminary developmental stepping stones to building Imperial Star Destroyers. Moreover, the planned B-70 nuclear-armed deep penetration supersonic strategic bomber was a design requirement that specifically called for a 50,000 pound or 23,000 kilo payload and a combat radius of 4,000 nautical miles or 7,400 kilometers. In 1949, the Soviet Union tested its first atomic bomb, a device called RDS-1, with a 22 kiloton yield in it, in what is now modern-day Kazakhstan. Soviet nuclear testing eventually culminated in the testing of the device RDS-220, the Tsar bomber, a 50 to 58 megaton hydrogen bomb on October 30, 1961, the largest detonation ever carried out by man. Between these two significant events, which were of great concern for Western military analysts, the design for the XB-70 Valkyrie deep penetration nuclear-armed bomber came into being. Because sometimes you really don't like those people all the way over there. And then you decide that it would be best to fly all the way over there when they're not ready or paying attention, and send them all the way back to the Stone Age, or at least to a time long, long before the distillation of vodka and agriculture, whilst they do exactly the same thing to you, which means no more baseball or hot dogs. Well, sorry, you probably should have been paying more attention, okay? But as for those other unlucky people all the way over there, it will mean no more potatoes to make vodka. But eventually, the introduction of the first Soviet surface-to-air missiles in the late 1950s put the near invulnerability of the proposed B-70 in doubt. The total shock realization that those people all the way over there aren't going to let you get away with it. In response, the United States Air Force began flying its missions at low level. You know, under power lines, between hedgerows, even through little girls' birthday parties. The shockwave blowing out the candles and the birthday cake that would obviously have, like pink icing or maybe a little princess or even a ballerina on top. This being an altitude where the missile's radar line of sight was limited by terrain and obstructions. But in the low-level penetration role, the B-70 offered little additional performance over the B-52 it was intended to replace, negating the intended benefit of a new design. Then, with the advent of intercontinental ballistic missiles during the late 1950s, man bombers were increasingly seen as obsolete. In the midst of this arms race and endless saber rattling, engineers on the XB-70 made a very interesting discovery. When an engine was optimized specifically for high speed, it burned perhaps twice as much fuel at that speed than when it was running at subsonic speeds. But then the Valkyrie would be flying as much as 4 times as fast, a completely unexpected discovery. This produced a design that could cruise for the intended duration of the mission at Mach 3. Thus, its most economical cruise speed in terms of fuel per mile and the probability of effective interception was its maximum speed. In simple layman's terms, this is almost like that time when your wife maxed out your credit card and she could justify it because everything was on sale for exactly half price. So from her view, she didn't spend $3,000 at the cash register. No, she actually saved you $3,000. She has a new wardrobe full of wonderful clothes technically worth $6,000. And you should be happy. No, you really should. Bargain, mate. But eventually the Cold War did end, and the Soviet Union collapsed on the 26th of December 1991. And America was like, good, feel the capitalism flowing through you. America doesn't have nuclear-powered aircraft anymore, or at least any ones we know about, but they do have numerous nuclear-powered ships, most notably the new Gerald Ford class aircraft carriers, which cost about $14 billion each, and which are the obvious necessary precursor to building a Death Star. If the cost of these ships appalls you, well, just remember that the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter program has so far cost $1.5 trillion, which is a pile of money so big that if you dropped it in the ocean, it'd create a tsunami.